Hi students, this is Mr. Yao. In this lesson, we will talk about 7.2, where we will learn about perpendicular lines in a coordinate system. So first, prior knowledge. Rewrite equations in slope-intercept form and graph them. So let's first rewrite each one into slope-intercept form. 5x minus 4 equals minus y equals 4. We're going to get y by itself. So subtract 5x on both sides. We have negative y equals negative 5x plus 4. However, y is not by itself yet. We basically have a negative 1 times y. So we're going to need to divide everything by a negative 1 to get rid of the negative sign in front of the y. We are going to get y equals negative 5 over negative 1 is a positive 5, then minus 4. 5x minus 4 is, the slope is 5 over 1. The intercept is negative 4. The slope is up 5 over 1. Then up 5 over 1, up 5 over 1, or down 5, left 1. So we have a line that looks like that. Next, we have x plus 5y minus 10 equals 0. So we're going to need to get rid of the x and get rid of the negative 10. So subtract x and add 10 on both sides. We have 5y equals negative x plus 10. Now divide everything by the 5. We are going to get, that's gone, y equals negative 1/5 x plus 2. The slope is negative 1 over 5, so down 1 over 5, down 1 over 5 from a 2, down 1 over 5, down 1 over 5, or up 1 left 5, and up 1 left 5. There's our second line. And now it's asking for the relationship between the two lines on the graph. You should clearly see these two lines, they are not parallel. They clearly intersect at a point. And something else to be more precise, if you kind of look at this whole thing, it's kind of tilted in a very interesting way for both lines. They are intersecting, but they're intersecting in a very specific way. And that is something that we will learn today. So these lines, these angles are actually 90-degree angles. Now let's look at another question. Find out the slope for the two lines on the right. What is the relationship between the two lines on the graph? So first, let's deal with this one. That is up 1 over 2. So the first slope, let's say this is my first line. First slope is going to be up 1 over 2, 1/2. Let's say this is my second line. And that is going to be down 2 over 1, so negative 2 over 1. My M2 is negative 2 over 1, which is negative 2. And if you look at the relationship between the two lines again, it looks very similar to the relationship in the previous question. These angles actually look like 90 degrees. And if you look at these two slopes, well, these are the slopes. They kind of, they're opposite first, well, 1/2 and the 2 and the negative 2. One is positive, the other is negative. And another thing, if you haven't noticed, the first number is 1/2 and the other number is negative 2 over 1. So basically they're opposite, and also the fraction is flipped. So that's kind of a relationship. Now let's use these two and get into the definition for today's lesson. Perpendicular. Two lines are perpendicular when they intersect to form a 90-degree angle, which is a right angle. That's exactly what happened in the prior knowledge questions. In a coordinate system, two lines are perpendicular when their slopes are opposite reciprocal, which means they have opposite sign and the fraction is flipped. So for example, the one we just had, 1/2 and negative 2, or negative 2 over 1, these are opposite reciprocals. Or let's say you have a 5 and then you would have a negative 1/5, because that's 5 over 1, then you turn into the negative number and also flip the fraction. These are opposite reciprocals. So now let's have a look at a few examples. Example 1 through 4. Decide if the given lines are perpendicular or not. Example 1, well, whenever we're trying to decide on these perpendicular or parallel, we're always going to need to find the slope. And again, to find the slope, that means we need slope-intercept form. Y equals mx plus b. The second line is already in slope-intercept form, but the first is not. I'm going to rewrite that first line. So 5y plus 3x equals negative 20. Subtract 3x on both sides. So 5y equals negative 3. X minus 20. Then divide everything by a 5. We have y equals negative 3/5 x. Negative 20 over a 5 is a minus 4. My slopes are 3/5 and negative 3/5. They are opposite, but they're not reciprocal, meaning the fraction is not flipped. So clearly, they are not perpendicular. Not perpendicular. That's example 1. Next, example 2. I still need to solve for my y. Let me write them. I have that, so minus 2x, and add 7 on both sides. We have 6y equals negative 2x plus 7. Divide everything by a 6. So y equals negative 1/3 x plus 7 over 6. That is my first equation. My second one, 6x equals 2y minus 2. I can choose to leave the y on the right side, so add 2 on both sides. And I would end up with 2y equals 6x plus 2. Divide everything by 2. Y equals 3x plus 1. Now for these two, I have a negative 1/3 and I have a 3. One is positive, one is negative, and the negative 1/3, 3 is basically 3 over 1. So they are opposite reciprocal. That means they are actually perpendicular. For example 2. Next, example 3. If you look at the slopes, one is a 5, the other is a 1/5. They are reciprocals, but they are both positive. They're not opposite, so not perpendicular. Next, example 4. These are two special lines. If you don't quite remember, y equals or x equals, when it's y, that means it's going through the y-axis. And when it's x, that means it is going through the x-axis. So here they are for my first line, y equals negative 2. This is kind of where the line is. Let's say that's negative 1, and this is negative 2. So that is y equals negative 2. For the x equals 1/2 is around here. Actually, closer than that. Let's say this is 1, and this would be x equals 1/2. So clearly you can see they are perpendicular. Even though the lines are not exactly opposite reciprocal, this is kind of special. So example 4 is a special case. You got to understand how is the y equals and how does the y equals and x equal works. So that's example 1 through 4. Now let's do something similar to last lesson. We are going to use points to see if the lines are perpendicular or not. Even though we're given points, we are still going to find slopes. So in this case, we're going to use the slope formula, m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So my first slope, 7 minus 5 over negative 2 minus 2. That is 2 over negative 4, which simplifies to be negative 1/2. Second slope, 6 minus 4 for the y values, and 1 minus 0 for the x values. We have 2 over 1, which is a 2. And you can see one is positive, one is negative, and also that is 1 over 2, this is 2 over 1. So clearly they are opposite reciprocals, and that means the two lines are perpendicular. That's example 5. Next, example 6. M equals 4 minus 2 over 5 minus 1. That gives us 2 over 4, which is 1/2. The second line, M2 is 3 minus 4 over 2 minus 0. That is a negative 4 on the top, a negative 1 on the top, and a positive 2 on the bottom. So that gives us negative 1/2. Yes, we have one positive, one negative, but they were exactly the same fraction. It's not reciprocal, so that means they are not perpendicular. That's example 6. Example 7 and 8. Create an equation for the line that passes through the point shown and is perpendicular to the line shown. Perpendicular, no matter what, we are going to need to find our new slope. That depends on the original slope for the line that's given. So we're going to need to use this slope to find the new slope. For this one, it is, let's see, up 2 over 1, up 2 over 1, anywhere we see that. That means the slope is 2 over 1, which is 2. So our new slope is going to be the opposite, so it's got to be negative. Since this is 2 over 1, reciprocal is got to be 1 over 2. That is our actual new slope with the point. This point is 2, 2, so we are going to use the point and the slope to write point-slope form of the new equation. Y minus 2 equals negative 1/2 times x minus 2. And you can simplify it to graph it, but basically, instead of going this direction, we are going to go this direction, and that will actually form a perpendicular line as the one that's given. That's example 7. Example 8. Same idea, we're going to use the original line to find a slope. That slope is down 2 over 1, down 2 over 1. So negative 2, then over 1. My slope will be negative 2 over 1, which is negative 2. But that is not my new slope. My new slope would be the opposite reciprocal. Since that's already negative, so my new slope is going to be positive. Since that is 2 over 1, my new slope is going to be 1 over 2. This point right here, it is 2, negative 1. So my point slope form is going to be y, since it's y minus negative 1, now it's got to be y plus 1 equals 1/2 is my new slope, and that is going to be x minus 2 inside the parentheses. You can choose to rewrite it into slope-intercept form when you graph. Y plus 1 equals 1/2 x minus 1. So minus another 1, that is going to give us y equals 1/2 x minus 2. So negative 2 is right here. 1/2 is up 1 over 2. So that is my slope. I can easily graph this new line to be like that. That is the perpendicular line, and we also have found the equation. Both forms, point-slope form and the slope-intercept form. That is example 8. Moving on, example 9 and 10. These are the same numbers as the previous lesson. We're just changing the word parallel to perpendicular. For this one, the original slope is 4, so that means my new slope is going to be, since that's positive, my new slope is going to be negative. And since that is 4 over 1, my new slope is 1 over 4. I have a slope, I have the point, I can easily write the point slope form. Y minus 1 equals negative 1/4 times x minus 5. Example 10. First, I'm going to need to find the slope for the original line. So subtract 7x on both sides, and we got 3y equals negative 7x minus 4. Divide everything by a 3, y equals negative 7/3 x minus 4/3. So my slope is negative 7 over 3. That means my new slope, since it's already negative, it's got to be positive. And that fraction is 7 over 3. I'm going to need to flip it to be 3 over 7. I have a slope, I have the point. My point slope form would be y minus 0 equals 3 over 7 times x. Since it is x minus negative 9, it will become x plus 9. And that is the point slope form. You can choose to get rid of the minus 0. That would just make the whole thing look like slope-intercept form, which is not quite clear. So you can, again, choose to write it this way. That is totally fine. That is example 10. Next, example 11. First things first, we still need to use the original line to find the slope. So subtract 3x on both sides. We got 2y equals negative 3x plus 7. And divide everything by a 2. Y equals negative 3 halves x plus 7 over 2. My original slope is negative 3 over 2. That means my new slope is going to be m equals, since it's already negative, now the new slope is going to be positive. The fraction is 3/2. Now flip it, 2/3. Again, we always start with the point slope form. That is going to be y minus 5 equals 2/3 times x minus 4. Now it's time to rewrite into slope-intercept. So distribute. We get y minus 5 equals 2/3 x minus 8/3. We're going to add 5 on both sides. So we have y equals 2/3 x. That is negative 8/3 plus 5, which 5 is basically 15/3. So together, that is 7/3. That is my slope-intercept form. Next, example 12. Same thing. First, we got to find the old slope. So add 2x on both sides. We have 5y equals 2x plus 10. Divide everything by 5. We have y equals 2/5 x plus 2. Now, the new slope is going to be the opposite reciprocal. So change that 2/5 to opposite, which means I need a negative sign. That fraction is 2/5. Flip it. It's got to be 5/2. Again, we are always going to start with the point slope form. That is y, since it's y minus negative 7, that becomes y plus 7 equals negative 5/2 as the slope. Then multiply with the x minus 6. Now let's change that into standard form. Distribute y plus 7 equals negative 5/2 x. Negative 5/2 times a negative 6, they both have a negative sign, becomes a positive 15. Now I need to get the x and the y on the same side. Since this x is already negative, if I move it to the left side, that would actually become positive. So I'm going to move the x to the left side by adding 5/2 x and subtract the 7 on both sides. So that is gone, that is gone. We have 5/2 x plus y, which equals to 15 minus 7, which is 8. And lastly, I just need to change everything to integers. So multiply everything by a 2. Final answer, 5x plus 2y equals 16. That is the standard form for example 12. That is everything for 7.2b. Thank you.